Hey, Dane Dobbie, we missed you. We still got to figure out from the league what he did to warrant a 6-game suspension there. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting episode as it's time for another episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel here, and it's time for another episode of my Calgary Roughnecks this month here. Here we are in Season 2. Now we're in episode number 4 here. As we'll take a look back on February 2020 here. This February was a little more special as it was a leap year. So we had an extra day of February here. So much so that I'm actually recording this episode in March here, but we needed every moment of February here, and it was definitely some interesting games here to recap with the Calgary Roughnecks. However, we finally were able to get our captain Dane Dobbie back here. Yeah, the Border Collie is my favorite dog breed. However, I also do like a Great Dane in terms of Dane Dobbie, and you'll definitely be hearing a lot of him in this episode here. And as I say, it was definitely a mixed bag here. We definitely had a mixed levels of competition when you look at the standings here. However, there might have been a little bit of a controversial ending here, as I'll get to with my notes here. But before I start recapping how the Roughnecks did this past month here, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, just make sure you hit like, subscribe to follow along there. Calgary sports is mostly what I do, but I also do personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and as well I share my experiences when I'm on the road or at a sporting event, let's say at a Roughnecks game. And I also do have my other social media links down below in the description there to follow me on those other platforms if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey. So without further ado, let's recap how February 2020 went for our lacrosse team, the Calgary Roughnecks here. So as I said, there was only 3 games to talk about in this past month here. However, I'm going to say we definitely had a lot to talk about, at least in the second and third game of this month here, as you know, the crazy NLL schedule seems to be inconsistent here, especially for the Calgary Roughnecks. So let's go back for Game 7. This happened on Saturday, February the 8th here. The Calgary Roughnecks were taking on the New York Riptide here, one of the 2 expansion teams, as we definitely played the new Rochester Nighthawks last month here. Now we're playing the other expansion team at Scotiabank Saddledome. That was a 7:30 ball drop here, and we were looking for our first win in the Rough House here since claiming the NLL championship last season. This was also the first time that former captain Dan McRae makes an appearance at Calgary since he was claimed in the expansion draft there. So we gave a welcome back to Dan McRae here. And, could this be finally what the doctor ordered for the Calgary Roughnecks to win their first game at home this season? Because the New York Riptide definitely is well behind in the stands here. And actually, Calgary did start off quick with Rhys Dutch, the overtime hero to give us the championship last season. Scored nearly 19 seconds in, and that was in, and also Shane Simpson for Calgary. So Calgary had an early 2-0 lead, and it was 1:45 in. So Rhys Dutch scored 19 seconds in, and then Shane Simpson scored shortly after. So it was 2-0 Calgary there. Then New York scored a second couple quick goals as well to tie it up here. First, it was at the 7-minute mark by Tyson Gibson, and then Connor Kelly 2 minutes later. So now it's 2-2. Then Calgary got another Shane Simpson's goal a minute later, and then a half later in the first quarter. So it was 3-2 Calgary after the first quarter here. Second quarter, there wasn't much scoring until the 10-minute mark, so it definitely was a quiet quarter until we got well into the 10-minute mark, because there's a 50-minute quarter here, obviously. First, it was Dan Taylor for Calgary just before the 10.5 minute mark, and Zach Haywires. He's been a nice addition for the Calgary Roughnecks this season. Past the 12-minute mark, so it was 5-2 Calgary at that point there. New York got a goal by Kieran McCurdle in the final minute, so it was a 5-3 Calgary lead at halftime here. Third quarter, Calgary used the 3-goal stretch in a 3-minute stretch here. So 3 goals in 3 minutes here for Calgary. First is Derek Downs, another nice acquisition for Calgary. Past the 5-minute mark, and then Dan Taylor scored 2 goals in 45 seconds. So Calgary led 8-3 at the 8-minute mark of the third quarter here. Then it was Connor Kelly for the New York Riptide. Gets a quick goal on the face-off, so it was 8-4 there. But Tyler Pace scored the natural hat-trick for Calgary 42 seconds after the New York goal, so it was 9-4 for Calgary. Then also the highlight here in the third quarter, about the 9-13 minute mark here, it was a fight. It was Hayden Dixon for Calgary and Andrew Suter for New York there, so I like that. Sometimes there's fights in lacrosse here. Then they also took a coincidental dead ball foul, but Hayden Dixon took an extra roughing penalty here. There was definitely a lot more penalties on Calgary in this game here, and definitely seems to have been the case with officiating here much of the season here. Calgary took more penalties in this game, as I mentioned. This rallied New York as they scored three straight to close out the third quarter. New York got goals by Jean-Luc Chetnier, Yale Thorpe, and Connor Kelly here. So after 3 quarters, it was now a 9-7 game for Calgary. Then Calgary opens up the fourth quarter with another 3-goal stretch in a 4.5 minute mark. First it was Dan Taylor, Reese Dutch, Mitch Wild there. So Calgary now regained a significant lead as he led 12-7 at 4.5 minute mark of the fourth quarter there. New York did not get a goal until about the 12-minute mark of the fourth quarter here, so definitely were able to maintain the lead there. It was Tyson Gibson and Connor Kelly in the final minute with the extra tacker to make it a 12-9 game, so New York did definitely make it a little closer there, but maybe I'd say too little too late here. Calgary was able to get the empty netter as Eli Salama puts it away there in the final 30 seconds, and Calgary won this one 13-9, so for the first home game in the Rough House here, so you can play the Red Solo Cup by Toby Keith there. It's been a while since I heard that song in the Rough House here. And actually, when it comes to the shots here, New York had the slight edge, 51-49 here. So, but ultimately, the Calgary Roughnecks won 13-9 here to start off February on the right note here. Calgary was led by Tyler Pace. He had 3 goals and an assist there. Reese Dutch, he had a solid game with 2 goals and 4 assists. As well, Shane Simpson had 2 goals and 2 assists there for Calgary. On the New York Riptide side of the ball here, well, Connor Kelly definitely had a big game. He had 4 goals and 1 assist there. Tyson Gibson, 2 goals and 1 assist. And Jean-Luc Chetnier had a goal and 3 assists there. So when it comes to the goaltending side, Christian Del Bianco, CDB for Calgary, he made 42 saves, while Alex Buick made 36 saves for New York Riptide. So that was Game 7. It's now game number 8. Did not happen until Saturday, February the 22nd here, as the Calgary Roughnecks were on the road to take on the Georgia Swarm. Georgia is based out of Duluth, just outside Atlanta there, at the Infinite Energy Center. That was a 5 p.m. ball drop there. And finally, great Dane Dobbie gets back in the lineup after serving his 6-game suspension here. And let's just say he definitely returned in a big way here, as Calgary opens up the scoring with 3 goals here. First, it was Curtis Superman Dixon, 38 seconds in, and then Dane Dobbie, 30 seconds later, and Curtis Dixon again past the 3.5 minute mark. So Calgary had a an early 3-0 lead here. Then Georgia got the next 2 goals here. First, Brian Cole at the 7.5 minute mark in, and Miles Thompson just over a minute later. So it was 3-2 Calgary at this point here, just past the halfway point of the first quarter there. Then Calgary scored the next 3 goals to close out the first quarter here. Dane Dobbie just before the 10-minute mark, and then Reese Dutch scored 2 goals in 2.5 minutes. So Calgary actually had a 6-2 lead after the first quarter, so things definitely looked good for Calgary here on the road in Georgia. And as Georgia has definitely been one of the top teams here last few seasons here. Then Georgia closed the gap by scoring the next 3 goals in a 4-minute stretch to start off the second quarter here. First, Georgia didn't score until just by the 6-minute mark. So after a lot of goals in the first quarter there, wasn't until first third of the second quarter that goals happened. As it was Zed Williams for Georgia. Then there was Randy Stats and Miles Thompson. So now we had a 6-5 Calgary game at this point here. Then Calgary scored 2 goals in 23 seconds just before the 11-minute mark. As we got Dane Dobbie and Curtis Dixon. It is now an 8-5 Calgary game just before the 11-minute mark. Each team got a goal just before halftime here. First was Randy Stotts for the Georgia Swarm and Zach Currier for the Calgary Roughnecks. So it was a 9-6 Calgary game at halftime. Third quarter, Calgary got 2 more goals early as Tyler Burns 8 seconds in and Reese Dutch just before past the 2.5-minute mark. So it was 11-6 Calgary about 3 minutes in the third quarter here. Then Georgia scored 3 straight goals in 3 minutes just past the 7-minute mark, and now it's 11-9 for Calgary at this point here, just past the 10-minute mark. Georgia got goals by Lyle Thompson and Zed Williams had 2 more in that stretch there. There was no more scoring for the rest of the third quarter, so Calgary still had a lead. It was 11-9 for Calgary at this point here. Then Georgia continued their scoring as he picked up 2 more goals by Zed Williams there, so he had a goal late in the third quarter there, and then he had 2 more in the fourth quarter for the natural hat trick. And he also had Shane Jackson also scored. So now the game was 11-11, just at the 2.5-minute mark of the fourth quarter here. Calgary didn't get 2 more goals within a minute apart here. Once again, it was Curtis Dixon and Reese Dutch here, so Calgary now had a 13-11 lead past the 4.5-minute mark. Then Georgia came back with another 2 goals in 55 seconds by Miles Thompson and Zed Williams here. So now it's a 13-13 game, just before the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. So the offense definitely really started picking up in the fourth quarter here. Then both teams scored a goal each in a 41-second stretch here. First it was Curtis Dixon for Calgary, and then it was Shane Jackson for Georgia. So it was 14-14 just past the 6.5-minute mark here. So we're getting goals here. Then Dan Taylor for Calgary scores at the 7.5-minute mark, and Randy Stotts for Georgia comes back a minute later. So it's now 15-15 just past the 8.5-minute mark. So we're still halfway through the fourth quarter here, and it's all tied up at 15 here. And then 3 minutes later, Calgary took a lead as Reese Dutch just before the 11.5-minute mark, and then Randy Stotts for Georgia keeps coming back here past the 13-minute mark. So it was 16-16, and it was 16-16 going into the final minute of the fourth quarter here, and Calgary looked like they got a go-ahead goal with 51 seconds left by Dane Dobbie to make it 17-16. However, with the extra attacker on, and the goalie pull for Georgia here, Georgia was able to tie it up by Lyle Thompson with 27 seconds left here. So it was 17-17, and as I like to say, this one needs overtime here. Definitely had a huge, entertaining scoring fest here. Georgia outscored Calgary 8-6 just in the fourth quarter alone here. So definitely was a ton of offense here to end this game here. And it was in overtime. It was Calgary that eventually got the winner by Dane Dobbie. Thankfully, he's back here at the minute 40 mark. So this was the 6th of the game, and he definitely returned to the vengeance here, as Calgary went on to win a wild one, 18-17 in overtime in Georgia here. Georgia also outshot the Calgary Roughnecks 64-54 in this one. Calgary, well, we're definitely led by Dane Dobbie. He had 6 goals and 1 assist there. Curtis Dixon definitely also had a massive game with 10 points here. He had 5 goals and 5 assists here. And Reese Dutch, he had 4 goals and 4 assists there, including getting his 400th NHL goal in this game there. So congratulations to Reese Dutch there, but he'll forever be synonymous for being the one to score 1 goal for the Calgary Roughnecks, and that was the championship goal in the playoffs there. As well, we can recognize Dan Taylor. He had a goal and 5 assists here, and Derek Downs chipped in with 5 assists there, so a lot of offense definitely to go around in this game for the Calgary Roughnecks. And on the Georgia Swarm side of the ball here, well, Zed Williams, he had 5 goals and assists there. And Shane Jackson had 2 goals and 7 assists there. Randy Stotts, he had 4 goals and 4 assists there. And Miles Thompson had 3 goals and 2 assists there. So if you like offense to be introduced to lacrosse here, this would have been the game for you here. So when it comes to the goaltending side of things, it was CDB, Christian Del Bianco, he made 47 saves for Calgary. Mike Pullen for Georgia, he made 19 saves as he started the game. However, it was Kevin Orleman who took over and made 17 saves there. So Georgia definitely changed goalies in this point here. So that was game number 8 in Georgia here. So game 9, it's happening on Saturday, February the 29th here, leap year date. We were taking on the San Diego Seals at the Scotiabank Saddledome. 7:30 ball drop here, and was this a chance for the Calgary Roughnecks to at least go perfect in February here. Also to mention here, Dane Dobbie was his first game back at home there after suspension there, because the first game we played on the road there, and then I know he had a second match penalty there, but was that worth missing a third of the season? And then it was Wesley Berg who made his return to Calgary since getting traded to San Diego in the offseason there. So another reunion with a former Roughneck here. Well, Dane Dobbie definitely continued to show his MVP form here by scoring the first 2 goals for Calgary. So Calgary had an early 2-0 lead here, just past the 3-minute mark. San Diego, however, did score the next 2 goals to tie it up here. First, Austin Stats past the 5-minute mark, and Kyle Buchanan a minute later. So now it was 2-2 there at this point here. Dane Dobbie got his third of the game 22 seconds later here. Well, now it was 3-2 Calgary at this point here. Tyler Pace scores for Calgary just past the 8.5-minute mark, so now it was 4-2 for Calgary at this point here in the rough house here. However, it was Austin Stats for San Diego who makes it 4-3 game 3 minutes later, but Dane Dobbie once again scores 32 seconds later, just past the 12-minute mark. So Calgary had a 5-3 lead after the first quarter, including 4 goals by Dane Dobbie alone here. And keep in mind, he had 6 in Georgia there, so he definitely is back scoring 10 goals here, just over 5 quarters. However, San Diego did strike fast at the beginning of the second quarter. San Diego got 3 goals in the minute 18 stretch here, and it's now a 6-5 game for San Diego at this point early in the second quarter. San Diego got goals by Jeremy Noble, Cam Holding, and Zach Greer. However, Dane Dobbie, he scored 32 seconds later to make a 6-6 game, and we're just about a minute and a half in the second quarter here. However, it was Casey Jackson for San Diego, makes it 7-6 just after the 3.5-minute mark, before Calgary got the next 2 goals in a 2.5-minute stretch. First by Zach Haywire just past the 4.5-minute mark. And Dane Dobbie, once again, just past the 6-minute mark to make it 8-7 Calgary at this point here. However, San Diego did get 2 goals just before halftime here. First was Kyle Buchanan ties it up at 8 just before the 9-minute mark. And then Austin Sadas with 6 seconds to go in the second quarter here gives San Diego a 9-8 lead, and it was 9-8 San Diego at halftime here. Then going into the third quarter here, San Diego gets 2 more goals by Austin Stats just past the opening minute and a half. And 3.5-minute mark, it was 11-8 for San Diego at this point here. It wasn't until past the 10-minute mark that Calgary got a goal here by Zach Haywire for Calgary. So it was 11-9 for San Diego at this point here. It looked like Curtis Dixon did score to get within 1 shortly after, but the ruling was that there was no time left on the shot clock there, as it looked pretty close there. So it was still 11-9 at this point here. Wesley Berg, the former Roughneck, did score for San Diego and made it 12-9 just past the 11.5-minute mark. But Calgary did get a late goal by Reese Cowleys with 19 seconds to go in the third quarter. So going into the fourth quarter, San Diego had a 12-10 lead there. So I think that was definitely a huge goal for Calgary to at least make it a 2-point deficit going into the fourth quarter. Calgary did slowly chip away at the deficit here going into the fourth quarter. First, just past the 4.5-minute mark, it was Tyler Pace that got Calgary within 1. And then Dane Dobbie, our captain here, ties it at 12 just past the 8-minute mark. So it was a 12-12 game at this point here. However, that momentum was short-lived as San Diego, 37 seconds later, gets them back in the league as Casey Jackson. Now it's 13-12 San Diego here. However, we definitely still had plenty of time to at least tie it up here. And Calgary did keep pressing back, but there was a few controversial calls late that got the Roughhouse very hot here and a lot of ref you suck chants here. First, it looked like Calgary did get tied up late in the final minute as tied a pace. It looked like he did score the goal there, but the call was ruled that the ball did not cross the plane there. What made it very controversial here, that the net was moved off and it was done by the San Diego goalie without anyone crashing into the net there. Calgary was still looking for the equalizer as we pulled the goalie and had the extra attacker on the field there. However, we were able to prevent San Diego from putting it away in the empty net there after that non-call was ruling there. However, it looked like there was a penalty that was missed late there that ultimately San Diego was able to win this one 13-12 here, and definitely was some questionable balls late from the officials and throughout the game there, as we definitely took a few penalties there that San Diego did capitalize on as they took advantage on the power play when they received them. And as I said, there was definitely a few questionable calls throughout the game there. I mean, there was definitely one roughing penalty that you got to wonder, was that worth 5 minutes? So, yeah, I'm going to say definitely San Diego had 5 power play goals in this game, but it was all the events leading in that final minute there that definitely got the Roughhouse hot here. So it definitely was a tough loss and another close game that the Calgary Roughnecks were on the wrong end of. They definitely had a few of those games early in the season there. San Diego outshot Calgary overall 57-56 here. Calgary was led by Dane Dobbie. He had 7 goals in this game. So he has 13 goals in the last 2 games here since serving that suspension there. So it's definitely nice that he's back here and maybe gives some hope here. Tyler Pace also had 2 goals and 2 assists, and Zach Haywires had 2 goals and assists there, and Eli Salama and Zach Curry each chipped in with 3 assists there, so it wasn't all just their great Dane Dobbie that did the offense here for Calgary. However, San Diego was led by Austin Stats. He had a 5-goal, 3-assist game there. Casey Jackson had 2 goals and 3 assists. Kyle Buchanan had 2 goals and 2 assists there, and former Roughneck Wesley Berg, he's definitely more of a setup guy. He had a goal and 7 assists there, and Jeremy Noble had 1 goal and 4 assists there. So when it comes to the goaltending side of the story here, Christian Del Bianco, he made 44 saves for Calgary. Well, for San Diego was Nick Damoud, who made 18 saves for San Diego, but former Roughneck Frankie Siliano took over in the second half after Calgary's 8 goal and made 26 saves the rest of the way there. So where does the Calgary Roughnecks rank? Actually, we're at the halfway point of the season here. As the Calgary Roughnecks, right now they're 4-5, puts them 4th in the West Division here. The big difference that stands out here is that Calgary's 1-4 at home. However, they're 3-1 on the road here. So before we take a look ahead to what March has in store here, let's just quickly open up some player stats and standings here as I load up the application here. So when it comes to the stats here, as I go find them here for the player stats. So when it comes to the leading scorer here, I mean, Curtis Superman Dixon is leading the way with 30 points here in all 9 games. He has 18 goals and 20 assists there. Then Dan Taylor second, and after 9 games he has 12 goals, 20 assists for 32 points there. Reese Dutch, he's third in the team. He's only played 5 games because he started off injured. He has 6 goals, 14 assists to 20 points there. Tyler Pace, he's only played in 6 games as he had some injuries. He has 13 goals, 6 assists for 19 points here. And then Dane Dobbie, he's only played in 3 games to round out the top 5, but he has 16 goals, 2 assists for 18 points there. And keep in mind that Calgary Roughnecks is still without Jesse King, as he was been hurt in that game just after Christmas there, and then we're still without Ryan Martell there. So that's just a quick standings there, or player stats. Now looking at the standings here, keep in mind that there's 3 divisions, and how playoff seeding is decided is you got the top 3 seeds in each division gets 1 to 3. Then the runner-ups in the second place in each division gets 4 through 6. And then the next 2 best records get 7 and 8. And then it's 1, 8, 2, 7. You'll get how the playoffs work here. So first in the East Division, New England Black Wolves are first in that division. They're 6-3. Then the Georgia Swarm are second at 6-4. Then the Philadelphia Wings, they're 7-5, and then the New York Riptide are 1-11 there. So that's the East Division here. Then if you go to the North Division here, there's definitely a three-way tie here. As Toronto is first, Halifax is second, Buffalo is third. They all have a 7-3 record here. And then the Rochester Nighthawks are 2-8, last in the North Division here. Now in the West Division, where we are, the Saskatchewan Rush are 6-3 here. Then the Colorado Mammoth, they've definitely played a lot more games. They're 6-6 second. Then the San Diego Seagulls, they're actually 5-6. And then the Calgary Roughnecks are 4-5. And then the Vancouver Warriors are 4-8 here. So definitely we got some work to do if we want to make the playoffs here. So right now you'll have New England, Toronto, and Saskatchewan in the playoffs. And then you got Georgia, Halifax, and Colorado in. And it looks like the next two best records will be Philadelphia and Buffalo here. So we're not in a playoff spot as of this recording here, but we still have half a season to go here. So look ahead here to March here. Definitely March is going to be a little busier month here for the Calgary Roughnecks here, as they have 5 games on tap here. You know, the crazy NLL schedule where it seems like you don't play for a few weeks and then suddenly you play like 2-3 games in a week here. So the next game for the Calgary Roughnecks will be Game 10. This will happen on Sunday, March the 8th. The Calgary Roughnecks will be on the road to take on the Toronto Rock here. This game will be part of the Alternative Bank Cup there, as what they're doing here for the 5 Canadian teams in the league here. They'll look at who has the best winning percentage at the end of the season when Canadian teams play each other there, and they'll be crowned the Canadian champion here. So that game will be part of that, as the Calgary Roughnecks will be on the road at the Scotiabank Arena. There'll be a 1 p.m. ball drop here. Next home game for the Calgary Roughnecks will be Game 11. This will happen on Friday, March the 13th here. Friday the 13th here, as the Calgary Roughnecks will be taking on the Saskatchewan Rush here. This will be a special Friday night game. It'll be on Friday, March 13th, 7:30 ball drop at the Scotiabank Stadium. Another game, a divisional rival as well, in the Alternative Bank Cup there. And then Game 12 here. Well, definitely this is where the crazy NLL schedule comes to play here, as after the Roughnecks play Saskatchewan here on Friday night here, Calgary plays on Sunday, March the 15th here, as they go back on the road to take on the New England Black Wolves at the Mogan Sun Arena. 1 p.m. ball drop here, so definitely they got 2 games here within less than 36 hours here. And then Game 13 here, the Calgary Roughnecks will still be on the road here on Friday, March the 20th here. The Calgary Roughnecks will be on the road to take on the Colorado Mammoth. That'll be at the Pepsi Center. 7:30 ball drop there, another divisional rival here. And then on Game 14, the last game of March here, which will be Episode 5, will be on Saturday, March the 28th here, as the Calgary Roughnecks will be taking on the Vancouver Warriors here. So 3 of the 5 games here in March here will count in the Alterna Bank Cup standings here, and we'll take a closer look at that in the next episode there, as we have a lot more Canadian games against each other here, and see maybe if the Calgary Roughnecks could get the Alternative Bank Cup here, and that will be a 7:30 ball drop at the Scotiabank Stadium here. So definitely next episode will be a lot busier and have a lot more game action there. So yeah, that's my Calgary Roughnecks this month for recapping February 2020 there, and yeah, definitely had a mixed bag here. As we definitely took advantage of the New York Riptide here. We definitely won a wild one in Georgia in overtime here, and it was definitely a tough loss to the San Diego Seals there. And I felt like there were some controversial calls there late there, to the point there that the Roughnecks, other than Christian Del Bianco, was the only one shaking the hands of the officials, and they were ready to get the F off the field there, as the rough house was hot there, and I definitely was a little hot myself there as a fan. That sometimes you gotta wonder about some of these calls here, because we definitely have been getting, I don't know if that is because we're the defending champs there, but so yeah, that's my Calgary Roughnecks this month here. So as I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, pulling the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders there, Just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow along by hitting that bell icon to be notified as soon as this Calgary sports fan uploads anything. I also do personal vlogs. I attempt to do some depth of comedy, and I share my experiences. Let's say I'm on the road or at a sporting event to totally follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey. I also have my social media links down in the description below there. As I will say in this case, go Next go, and hopefully the second half of the 2020 season will look a little better here, because there is some elements to this season that feel similar to last season, where we've lost some tough games, we've had some injuries, but then we turned on late there, and ultimately we were the champions. Could this happen again this season? I don't know if history could repeat itself and could be going that well again. So, as I say, I'll see you in the next video here.